Welcome back to the Brandon Smith YouTube channel, and fantastic news, PRO14 Weekly is back here on the channel. We did it to an extent last season, but this season I'm committed to doing it every week, bringing you the roundup from the weekend's action in the PRO14. There were so many great games over the weekend that I want to get into, and also I want to hear your thoughts on these games. How did your team do? What were the positives? What were some of the things that could be worked on? Who was the star performer of the weekend? Let me know down in the comments below. And just before we get into all the action, be sure to subscribe and leave a like on the video. We are, of course, going to start on Friday night. We're going to go in chronological order. It is the Dragons. The Dragons won against Edinburgh, 26 points to 18 down at Rodney Parade. The star performers, Jamie Roberts, and of course, Jordan Williams at fullback, who has potentially the best hair in rugby. We've got to say, potentially the best hair in rugby. But it was Jordan Williams who got the first try. Jamie Roberts about 10 to 15 metres out, crashing over the gain line. Then they got quick ball, Hodrie Williams out to Sam Davis, out then to Jordan Williams, who then cut through beautifully with the hair flowing in the wind and crashed over for the first try of the game. It then was time to swap roles. Jordan Williams becoming provider for Jamie Roberts. A brilliant try this was. Jamie Roberts really had an incredible game, to be honest. This is the best we've seen him play for quite a while, I feel. A scrum on the halfway line, ball comes out, Jordan Williams gets it, runs a fantastic line, is tackled just short. The ball comes up to Jamie Roberts, who just crashes over and gets a well-deserved try. Elliot D added a third in the 30th minute, him crashing over. But Dragons did have a chance to kill the game in the first half, should have got a bonus point and put him to bed. But for some reason, when they're attacking about 5 metres out from an attacking line out, Elliot D decides to go for a grubber kick. I don't understand why. What happens? Zebra turned the ball over, it's kicked downfield, it's a football race, basically kicking the ball down, and in the end, it is Maury who crashes over for Zebra, and actually at half time, it's not as comfortable as it looks, that's for sure. But Dragons come out and they finish the game off, but it wasn't the most convincing of performances. A try in the second half to kill the game off. But Dean Ryan after the game was not impressed by his side's attitude in the second half. But they'll certainly take positives from the likes of Jamie Roberts and Jordan Williams. And I think Hodrie Williams controlled the game fairly well. So for the Dragons, it's their first win of the season against the side you expect them to get a bonus point against, let's be honest. So let's talk about the Saturday games, and let's start with one of the games of the weekend out in Italy. Benetton facing last year's champions Leinster. And what a game this was. It didn't go the way we maybe expected it to go, but some encouraging performances from both sides. For the first 20 minutes or so, it was pretty equal, with both teams trading 2 penalties apiece. Benetton and Leinster trying to play some rugby, but it wasn't quite there yet, was it? But it was Leinster who got the first try of the game through Tracy, who was at the back of the maul 5 metres out and then just powered over, and Leinster really showing their physical prowess in this game. And at this point, you'd probably expect Benetton to fold and to crumble and Leinster to go on to score 4 or 5 tries pretty convincingly and put the game to bed. But it certainly didn't happen, and Benetton really came back into the game, getting their own try. This time Benetton took full advantage of the man in the bin for Leinster, and Sebastian Negri brilliantly shrugged off a few players to score, and it was a brilliant try, and it was game on here. And it was good to see that Benetton had a lot of heart in them, especially after last week's performance. They had a really good performance, but unfortunate to lose. But this time, putting in a proud performance against a very strong Leinster side. It was 13 points apiece at this point, but then the tide started to turn ever so slightly. James Lowe getting a great try, picking a brilliant line, dancing feet, and went over to score for Leinster. And Leinster were leading at this point 20 points to 13 as they went into half time. So the game was still there. It wasn't completely running away with it, but you felt like Leinster were getting there slowly. But at the start of the second half, it was Benetton who got the first try of the game. And it was a great play, and they just crashed over once again. A lot of teams this weekend, what we saw was a lot of power play, players crashing over and getting over from very short distances. It was Fiver under the pile of players who got the try for Benetton. It was a penalty try for Leinster later on after a deliberate knock-on to make it 18 points to 30. But Benetton weren't done there. You thought at this point Benetton would say enough is enough, we've lost the game, okay, but we'll just play a little bit. But they really went for it and they got another try. They're driving more, and it was Lokesi who got the try for Benetton. Benetton really sticking to what they know and doing it well, organised and disciplined and getting over the try line. But Leinster finished with a try by Ryan to make it 25 points to 37. From a Leinster point of view, they'll be very happy. 2 bonus points wins so far, which you'd absolutely expect from them. You wouldn't expect anything less from them. But from a Benetton point of view, 2 games, could count themselves unlucky last week, but a lot of heart shown, a lot of discipline shown, and also the ability to score and using what they know works so well. And against teams of lesser quality, they've played, of course, Ulster and Leinster so far, probably the 2 strongest teams in the league. They can go against other teams, weaker teams, and be confident that they can have a good performance away from home or at home. Now, for those watching who may not know, I am in fact an Ospreys fan, and after last week's performance, we got a win against Edinburgh up in Murrayfield, and I was very encouraged by the performance, and I was wondering, could we build on this performance after an extremely poor 18 months or so? The answer was no. No, we couldn't. Ulster came down to the Liberty, winning this one 24 points to 12, and in reality, it could have been a lot more. And it's very, very frustrating as an Ospreys fan. But let's take a look at the game. Jacob Stockdale getting the first try for Ulster, playing at fullback, and had a really, really good game and finished his try fantastically well. But it did feel easy. It was an easy try for them to score, and the defence from us was certainly not on point. Myler did add a few penalties for us, and he's been a decent signing so far, a lot of experience, and also he'll come in, of course, because Anscombe is out injured for another year at least after his injury setback. The second half started like the first half. An Ulster try. Coetzee, the South African number 8, very, very powerful, getting over the try line, but again, it felt very simple. Yes, it was quick ball, good offloading from Ulster, but it felt like it was very, very simple for Ulster to get their points on this game. John Cooney added a third try as well, a really good finish. He's of course been left out of the Irish squad. He was dropped for the final last season of the PRO14, and he had a point to prove, and he certainly did that today. Ulster at the end, maybe a bit of a sour note for them. Ian Henderson getting a red card for a shoulder charge basically on Dan Evans after clearing him at the ruck. It's certainly a red card. We saw a lot of cards handed out this weekend. Refs really cracking down on these types of tackles, on dangerous play, because at the end of the day, we've got to keep players safe. But let me know in the comments down below your thoughts on some of the cards this weekend. But this one for me was certainly a red, and it was just dangerous. There was no attempt to wrap the arm. It was simply a shoulder into the head of Dan Evans. Cardiff Blues continued their good start to the season with a win against Conor at home. 2 wins out of 2 for the capital-based side, running out here 29-7 winners of a very capable Conor side who just weren't really at the races that day. A brilliant start for the Blues. 7-0 at half-time, a try for Hallam Amos after good work from the likes of Matthew Morgan and Josh Adams, giving the offload. A really good start for them, but not much really happened in that first half, and it was still in the balance at half-time as they went into the second half, because we didn't know what was going to happen. 7-0 down, game's in the balance, absolutely, it 100% is. Conor used the pick and go really efficiently, and a try for Conor Oliver came for them at the start of the second half. And the Conor player was tackled, held up, but he managed to get the offload off, and Oliver crashed over for the Irish side. But Hallam Amos replied with a try of his own, scoring for the Blues once again after some great work by Ray Lilo. Had a lovely step in the middle, and the ball went out to Hallam Amos, who had a pretty much straight run in to the corner to put the Blues ahead once again. And the game really swung in favour of the Blues with a penalty try for a deliberate knock-on by Peter Sullivan. The try was very much incoming. One more person who got there, and he did the deliberate knock-on into the bin, penalty try, and really, once Christian Dacey went over to get the final try of the game after going over from a short distance, the game was really won. For Cardiff Blues, fantastic results against a very, very good team, as they will lose, again, a lot of their players heading off on international duty. Next game on the Saturday was Munster hosted Edinburgh. Edinburgh looking to bounce back after a defeat against the Ospreys at home in a really, really poor performance. and Munster looking to build on their victory away at the Scarlets. And it was Munster who came out on top in this one, winning a very, very close affair with some dramatic incidences throughout the game, winning this one 25-23. What a game for the neutral this was. It started with Munster getting 2 easy penalties, getting some points on the board very early, but it was Edinburgh who got the first try of the game. Bennett going over after good works from the forwards, but poor defence from Munster and missed tackles, and he ran through and got the first try of the game. Both sides continued to trade penalties throughout the game, but it was Edinburgh. They got their second try this time. WP now crashing over from a few metres out, really, and once again poor defence from Munster, if we're being totally honest. There was a yellow card for the fly half of Munster, but that didn't deter them as they kept going forward. Both teams trading penalties once again. It was a very, very close affair all the way to the last minute, with a score at 18 points to Munster, 23 to Edinburgh. Edinburgh looked certain to get their finally get their victory, their first victory of the season, but it wasn't to be. With 3 minutes to go, CJ Stand, after good work from the forwards, pick and go, he crashes over, and the South African born who plays for Ireland and is potentially one of the best in the world in his position, crashes over and gets a brilliant score for Munster and gives them 2 wins out of 2 so far in the PRO14. For Edinburgh, so much frustration. They really were the better team for much of this game, in my opinion, and probably should have capitalised on different moments throughout the game. Munster defensively in the first half were pretty poor and very average, but in the second half showed a lot of discipline, a lot of desire to win this one. Edinburgh, though, will be wondering where the next victory comes from. They'll be losing a lot of players on international duty. The final game of this weekend, and the only game on the Sunday, was Glasgow Warriors, who hosted the Scarlets. Glasgow Warriors, of course, looking to get a win here, and Scarlets looking to get their first win of the season, but it was the home side who ran out winners in this one, 20 points to 7. And the big talking point, of course, was the red card, which we will get to shortly. But the first half an hour was a cagey affair, 0-0 up until 28 minutes when Hastings put his penalty over from quite a few metres out. And then it looked certain as if Glasgow Warriors would put their foot down to really look to get at this game. And it was Ollie Kebble who got the first try for Glasgow Warriors, crashing over. And we saw, as I mentioned before, we saw a lot of that this weekend. Players pick and go and getting over the try line and maybe playing to the conditions. Pretty windy weekend across the board. Straight after the second half, it is the red card. Sam Lucy getting a red card. It's tough. It's a hard one because, yes, it is a red card in my opinion. He's hit him with the shoulder. The player's jumped to catch the high ball. He's come down. He's landed. He's got maybe a second or two to react to it. But at the end of the day, we have to be protecting players, ensuring that they are safe. Again, concussions are a huge issue. We've done videos on the channel about that. I'll put a link up there for you to check it out. So do go and check that one out. But with the extra man, Glasgow then took full advantage of that. And it was Wilson crashing over from 2 metres again at pick and go to make it 20 points to 0. And right at the end, Samson Lee did get a try for Scarlets on a very special day for him. But again, it just wasn't enough. 20 points to 7 that this one finished. For Glasgow Warriors, they'll be happy that they got the result. Again, losing a lot of players to international duty, and same for the Scarlets. Scarlets fans so far, no wins yet. Where's your next win coming from? Let me know down in the comments below. So there we go. That is a PRO14 weekly roundup for you here on the Brandon Smith Rugby channel. Be sure to subscribe if you have enjoyed, and comment your thoughts down below on your team's performance. We'll be back at the end of the week for the predictions for the upcoming fixtures, so be sure to check that one out when it's out. And of course, we have international rugby back once again coming very shortly, so be sure to subscribe ready for that. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you soon here on Brandon Smith Rugby on YouTube.